Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Chinenye Ngoyi. First, let's bring you the headlines. President Tinubu receives Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Federal government inaugurates committee on power supply challenge in the health sector. And South African Development Community reaches agreement with M23 rebels to withdraw its mission in DR Congo. Many thanks for joining us. St. Kitts and Nevis is seeking to establish greater ties with African countries, and it is choosing Nigeria in particular. Prime Minister of the Caribbean country, Terence Michael Drew, declared this intention when he visited President Bola Tinubu in the State House. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports.
Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Terence Michael Drew, was an unusual visitor to the State House this Saturday.
Happy birthday. Thank you very much.
His country is a dual island nation of less than 50,000 human population between the Atlantic Ocean and Caribbean Sea. But then, Mr. Drew is on the continent to draw attention to his country. Leveraging his visit to Nigeria for an investment summit, the Prime Minister demonstrated his seriousness in his discussion with President Bola Tinubu. He is inviting Nigerian investors to his country for business opportunities.
Trying to inspire our people here to come to the Caribbean to invest so that we can, of course, work together closer as a region, as two regions, but really we are all connected by blood.
Specifically, which areas are you looking at to invest in or to cooperate with Nigeria?
So I'm looking at the area of agriculture and food security. And as Mr. President said, food sovereignty is quite important. And so we have contacted a number of firms here in Nigeria to consider coming to St. Kitts and Nevis or the wider Caribbean. We are looking at energy as well as logistics and transport and trade. And so we have discussed a number of other areas, areas of education and so forth. But there are areas within those ones that I just mentioned that we are seeking at this particular time.
For President Bola Tinubu, this is another opportunity to expand the net for investments and international partnership.
It's excellent, very great opportunity for Africa to, connect widely, and Nigeria in particular, to strengthen our bilateral relations and examine and exploit all the economic opportunities that is available to all so that we can achieve more for ourselves. Thank you very much.
St. Kitts and Nevis, which got independence in 1983, is the world's smallest sovereign federation, hoping to expand its economic opportunities. From the State House, Musbao Danwahab, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has been described as a true patriot and a worthy leader whose visionary leadership is anchored on renewed hope for Nigerians. This is the focus of his 73rd birthday celebration in Abuja. Omenka Amarachukwu reports that the event was put up by the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission, Bishop Stephen Adebute.
That song, O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, ushered in the 73rd birthday celebration held for President Bola Tinubu as notable Nigerians gathered to celebrate a man whom they see have devoted his time to the service of the nation, as well as nurturing a sense of brotherhood among Nigerians. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, and others enjoined Nigerians to support the administration in delivering the goods embedded in the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President.
He's like a centurion of the Roman army, whose services are rendered in deeds, not in words. He doesn't talk much. He's a doer. Continue to pray for him.
At 73, I see him starting afresh to the glory of God.
It's a blessing to our country, and it's a time that we should continue to thank God for his life, because he's a fulfilled man. And God is using him to turn things around for the best for our great nation.
And we believe that as we keep praying for our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that we're going to see more improvements, more infrastructures, and we're going to see more progress in our nation.
Prayers were also made for unity and national coexistence among Nigerians. In Abuja, Omeka Marachuku, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu felicitates the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he turns 73. In a personal message to celebrate his birthday, the First Lady appreciates God's faithfulness in the life of the President over the years. She describes the President as her knight in shining armor, whose strength, courage and resilience have all contributed to who they both are today. Wishing the President a happy birthday celebration, the First Lady prays for long life, divine health, joy, peace and prosperity. And former President Muhammadu Buhari underscored the bond between him and the President with a call, joining the family and the nation in celebrating the birthday of President Bola Tinubu. In a telephone call, the former President said he and the members of his family are in prayers for President Tinubu for long life, good health, and the successful administration of the country by the President as he marks his birthday. The former President said his family and himself remain indebted to President Tinubu and the other leaders of the party for the invaluable contributions they made towards the formation of the APC, catapulting him to the presidency for 2 terms after failed attempts in the past. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has extended his heartfelt felicitations to President Bola Tinubu on the occasion of his 73rd birthday. In a congratulatory message, Akpabio describes President Tinubu's passion for Nigeria's progress as contagious as he commends his vision and dedication to the progress of Nigeria. President Tinubu, he says, has in the last 2 years demonstrated astute leadership through bold economic reforms and prays Almighty Allah to grant him continued wisdom, strength and good health to steer the nation to greater heights. Similarly, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, while paying tributes to the Nigerian leader, says the nation is lucky to have a Democrat and patriot in the person of President Tinubu as its leader at this point in the country's democratic journey. He describes President Tinubu as one of the most experienced politicians to have occupied the presidential seat, having at various times excelled at the state and federal levels in the executive and legislative arms of government. Speaker Abbas restated the commitment of the House and by extension the 10th National Assembly to continue working harmoniously with the executive arm in the interest of Nigerians. The South African Development Community has reached an agreement with M23 rebels to facilitate the withdrawal of its mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which include the withdrawal of troops and equipment from Goma. Plus, Somalia prepared to offer the United States exclusive control of strategic air bases and ports. Charles Alpha reports.
The decision for the withdrawal of the mission is contained in a communique signed in Goma by Tanzania People's Defense Forces Major General Mona on behalf of the chairperson of the Southern African Development Community and Major General Sultani Makenga, military coordinator of the Alliance Fleuve Congo Movement, due 23 March. The agreement dated Friday 28 March covers outcomes of the engagement between the Chief of Defense Forces in Goma, The meeting noted commitments from both parties on the cessation of hostilities, ceasefire and unconditional withdrawal of troops. It was also agreed that the AFC M23 will facilitate the immediate withdrawal of Southern African Mission of DRC troops with their weapons and equipment, leaving behind all the DRC government weapons and equipment in their possession. The AFC and M23 rebels, it said, will coordinate freedom of movement in preparation for withdrawal. Both parties are to assess the status of Goma International Airport in readiness for reopening, with the Southern African Development Community to assist in the repair of the airport to facilitate the agreements reached. Elsewhere, Somalia said it is prepared to offer the United States exclusive control of strategic air bases and ports. That country's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said in a letter to President Donald Trump on Friday. President Mohamud said the assets included air bases in Balidogo and in Berbera, as well as the ports of Berbera and Bosaso. The offer could give the United States a firmer military presence in the Horn of Africa region as it looks to counter the threats of terrorists in Somalia and across the region. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
A delegation from the European Union, including Vice President of the European Parliament, Katarina Bali, has visited jailed Istanbul mayor and Republican People's Party presidential candidate Ekrem İmamoğlu, who is being held in Istanbul's Marmara prison. Again, Charles Alpha brings us details of that report.
President of the Party of European Socialists, Stefan Löfven, Vice President of the European Parliament, Katarina Bali, and members of Parliament, Dairo Nadella and Evin, said the delegation is in Istanbul to stand with the Turkish democratic opposition in their call to President Tayyip Erdogan to stop the arrest and to free political prisoners. Reports say their visit at this critical moment reflects a clear and principled commitment to democratic norms, judicial independence, and the protection of fundamental rights. This visit, the Party of European Socialists also said, represents growing international concerns regarding the current trajectory of democratic institutions in Turkey. It reaffirms that the repression of political participation through judicial means is incompatible with the values shared by democratic societies. İmamoğlu was formally arrested and jailed on the 23rd of March as part of the investigation into alleged corruption. The same day, the CHP officially nominated him as their candidate for the presidential election with 15 million votes, with election due to take place sometime in 2028. İmamoğlu was then suspended from his post as mayor by the Interior Ministry, with the CHP naming Nuri Aslam as interim mayor. İmamoğlu's arrest sparked mass protests in major cities across Turkey, the biggest wave of social unrest in more than a decade. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Federal government of Nigeria is working with Turkish authorities to ensure the safe return of an endangered baby gorilla intercepted at Istanbul airport in December 2024. Smuggled from Nigeria and en route Bangkok, Thailand, the gorilla was discovered during a routine inspection. A statement by the acting spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimebi Ebienfa, clarifies that wildlife trafficking, particularly of endangered species, is a serious crime, violating national and international laws, including Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora laws. The baby gorilla is classified as critically endangered, and that trade in such species is strictly prohibited, except under exceptional conservation or scientific circumstances. It says Nigerian law enforcement agencies, including the Federal Ministry of Environment, are investigating the smuggling attempt to hold accountable those responsible, while the federal government will enhance surveillance at its airports, seaports, and land borders to prevent future illegal wildlife trafficking incidents. Nigeria appreciates the Turkish authorities' efforts and is directing its embassy in Ankara to ensure the gorilla's safe return. Consequently, the federal government reaffirms its commitment to biodiversity conservation and the protection of endangered wildlife, promising to take strong action against any illicit activities. You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a breather here. We'll be right back. Do stay. Many thanks for staying on. Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has expressed satisfaction with the quality and level of work on projects earmarked for the May inauguration. The minister disclosed this during the inspection tour of ongoing projects. Onoze Yakubu reports.
Impressed with the level and quality of work done so far, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike commends the contracting firms handling the project for a job well done, saying that by May this year, it will be a promise made and promise fulfilled as earmarked projects will be inaugurated.
I'm happy for what I've seen, and we've been to Court of Appeal. Of course, theirs will be completed by September. We've been to Ossex. That will be commissioned by them. And today, this also will be completed by them. How happy one would be in life that you made a promise and you fulfill the promise. I have to thank Mr. President. This is really actually what we call the Real Hope agenda. A real hope that hope has come back to our people. People are happy. Promises made, promises fulfilled.
Some of the projects to be inaugurated and inspected include the construction of Court of Appeal Complex, the Outer Southern Expressway access, and the Inner Outer Southern Expressway ISEX. The minister says prudent management of resources is key to infrastructure provisions and commends President Bola Tinubu for his support.
I have always maintained that I will not start a project when I know there are no funds. Not just for the sake of awarding contract. What people want is not just award contract, award and complete for them to use. If you award contract, it becomes an abandoned project. It doesn't make any sense. So we have managed the little funds we have, and that's why we are going to be very aggressive in our revenue drive to be able to achieve more projects.
Nyesom Wike, however, appeals to the residents to always ensure they pay their taxes to ensure more fund is committed to infrastructure development in the territory. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
The federal government has established an implementation committee for a national dialogue on power in the health sector. This initiative aims to address the unprecedented power crisis that has been disrupting the optimal delivery of care at public healthcare facilities, particularly at the tertiary level for decades. Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako, who presided over the inauguration in Abuja, emphasized that Nigeria is steadily moving towards fully achieving universal health coverage under the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. Olusheye Adeabo reports.
After 6 months in the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isiaq Salako, a public health physician and health activist, has used most part of the period visiting health institutions to receive first-hand information on Nigeria's health services and how citizens grapple with series of limitations in accessing the care they need.
I know hospitals that pay hundreds of millions of naira every month.
Top on the list of these challenges is the deficit in electricity provision, huge energy cost, and its effect on public health facilities, mostly the teaching hospitals. The federal government is set for a national dialogue on power in the health sector, and the first leg will be the inauguration of a committee with the task of bringing experts from the health and power sectors to develop an implementable plans.
The intention of government is to see how we can have a structured framework, a guideline that can be used for implementation of alternative energy, renewable energy in the health sector system.
And I also use this opportunity to, on behalf of my colleagues, pledge our commitment to serve with all of our heart.
The pledge from the team leader comes with an optimism that the tasks assigned to them will be pragmatically carried out. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
The Nigeria Forest Security Service has applauded the National Assembly for the passage of the NFSS bill while calling on President Bola Tinubu for assent to enable full-scale operations in the country's ungoverned forests. Commandant General Joshua Osatimehin made this known at a media briefing in Abuja. Olajide Bello reports.
The nod from the Senate and the passage of the NFSS bill is another milestone in the quest of NFSS of being added to the nation's security architecture. The Commander General Joshua Osatimehin says these developments will further boost the morale of officers and men of the service.
One of the cardinal points of the New Hope agenda of our president is to tackle the internal security, most especially in the forested region. This will give rise and boost the socio-economic activities of our country.
NFSS is calling for state government partnerships with the service to provide necessary logistics to enhance the security of ungoverned spaces. Deputy Commander General Intelligence of NFSS John Michie commended the 10th Senate for successfully passing the NFSS bill. The significant achievement, according to John Michie, demonstrates the Senate's commitment to strengthening Nigeria's internal security, particularly in securing the nation's vast forest regions. The establishment of a strong legal framework for forest security will not only protect lives and property, but also enhance agricultural productivity and contribute to national economic growth. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations has inducted 515 new members into the body with a charge for them to adhere to the bylaws of the institute and best practices as public relations practitioners. Haman Jabani reports that the President and Chairman Governing Council of the Institute, Dr. Ike Neleaku, confirmed the new members.
After weighing all options, I'm excited I hereby induct you.
The induction emphasized the critical role of public relations practitioners in shaping public perception, fostering transparency, and delivering ethical communication in both public and private sectors. The new inductees were charged to uphold the highest standard of professionalism, integrity, and accountability, reminding them that their work directly impacts national development and organizational credibility. Serving as a call to action for the new professionals to contribute meaningfully to the profession while adhering to NIPR's Code of Ethics and best practices.
We believe that you cannot be a successful leader if you are not an effective communicator. So today you are being licensed to become effective communicators who will give Nigeria qualitative leadership.
Some of the new members say they will use their skills to positively influence public discourse, promote national unity, and uphold the integrity of the institute while taking advantage of the training programs, certifications, and mentorship opportunities to sharpen their expertise.
It's actually something a journalist is always looking forward to. And now that I have fully embraced this process, I feel a sense of responsibility, more sense of responsibility in my job. And I know this certification will take me a long way.
Earlier, Dr. Neleaku and his team met with the Vice Chancellor, Nasarawa State University, Professor Saadatu Hassan Liman, seeking her support and partnership, most especially towards the development of the Institute's University of Public Relations and Leadership.
We are wishing you success in that endeavor and further assuring you that we will always be here for you people in order to help you set up the university and also the courses and any other thing that is needed to make a very good and wonderful institution of higher learning.
NIPR and the university agree on a more beneficial partnership for the good of the country and the PR profession. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
Let's now take a look at Sunday weather prospects for Nigeria and major cities around the world. And this is where we end the news. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Chinenye Nwoye.